Well, is this the time to go out there and start hypothesizing? Honestly, maybe. There are a number of things that we can post on YouTube, but not everything is getting views nowadays, so why not just get into the hypotheticals? Just start talking about what is interesting in Vancouver Canucks land. Because I saw this pop up yesterday a bunch after the big news out of Colorado. That in which we did make a video about, by the way. If you missed it, Necas ended up re-signing with the Avalanche on an 8-year contract extension, worth $11.5 million a year. Now, of course, 11.5 is a dollar amount that I don't think a lot of folks thought Necas would have been able to get, let's say, a year ago. Maybe this summer things changed. Everybody saw Kirill Kaprizov get money, Marner got money, Rantanen got money, Kyle Connor got money, and with these increases in the cap and players like Adrian Kempe and Tuck also requesting money in the $11 or $12 million range, it put the NHL in a different bubble compared to a year ago, where a guy like Necas, who was very good with Carolina last year, was able to be the top NHL point producer for the opening parts of the 24-25 season, where people thought he would initially be in the $9 million territory, is now at 11.5. And with this in mind, I did see some Vancouver Canucks fans go out there and start talking about this Necas contract extension because his 11.5 number is eerily close to Elias Pettersson and Petey's $11.6 million AAV deal. Here's a tweet that was posted by Noah Strang that I thought was really interesting. The Necas and Elias Pettersson failed trade is one of the more interesting what-ifs in recent NHL history. And that tweet is so interesting to me, because as somebody who was chronicling the Elias Pettersson trade saga from a year ago, I can speak quite fondly to some of the mindsets that fans were thinking last year when we saw Elias Pettersson trade rumors over to Carolina, and what an entire return centered around Necas would have looked like for Vancouver had it gone through. Because the story goes from a year ago, and we did make videos about this so you can go deep into the archives and find them yourself, but the story goes that during the entire Elias Pettersson and JT Miller feud, during that period last year where the Vancouver Canucks were actively exercising trade talks on both of these guys, there was an apparent Carolina Hurricanes trade that revolved around Elias Pettersson and the Canucks. And, you know, there were folks like me going out there and saying, hey, wait a minute, why not just trade Miller over to Carolina? That sounds like a better idea, right? But ultimately, that did not end up happening. In fact, this is from an article back in January of 2025 when Mikko Rantanen was traded over to the Carolina Hurricanes. Elliot Friedman wrote this. What path would Carolina take? The Hurricanes kept things pretty quiet, but it was known they had the safari pants on for a big hunt and trying to get a big fish. They discussed both JT Miller and Pettersson with Vancouver. I believe Necas would have been involved in a Pettersson deal, but not a Miller one. Obviously, there are other moves they could have considered. Furthermore, you had yourselves another Elias Pettersson Necas trade discussion all the way back in February of 2024. Yeah, that's right, not 2025 earlier this season, but 2024. Here's a tweet from Big Head Hockey that talks about how back in February 2024, Elias Pettersson and the Canucks were not close to an extension. The Canucks tried to protect their losses by shopping Pettersson to Carolina, where the alleged package was Necas, Brett Pesce, and draft picks. This, of course, did not happen. The Canucks instead decided to sign Pettersson, and now we're looking at Necas as a guy who just got $100,000 fewer than what Pettersson is making per year. 11.6 versus 11.5. And I think, honestly, with the way the contracts work out, disregarding the trade history and everything, how Vancouver ultimately backed out of getting Necas on their squad for Petey, I think the contracts favor Pettersson. And some of the replies go out there and agree with this. This is what Andreas Wall said. Marty Necas is good, but he's nowhere near the same career stats as Pettersson. Necas also mostly plays wing and costs the same as Pettersson, who has better stats, better defense, and who is also a better center. And you also have the very common talking point that'll get brought up in fan circles that, hey, Marty Necas plays with Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar. Yeah, he's productive, and yeah, he works in that spot. Yes, he's good. But if Elias Pettersson was playing with Nathan MacKinnon and Cale Makar, I think Petey would probably do a lot better than what he's been doing the past little while here. And even this season, Elias Pettersson has been just above and beyond so much better than what he had produced and showed off last year in the JT Miller final season with Vancouver, that it's almost like, hey, this guy is a completely new guy. He's starting to move his feet a lot more. He's starting to get that confidence back. He's scoring one-timers on the power play now. At least when his defenseman is passing the puck to him, cough cough, Quinn Hughes. And Elias always had a higher ceiling than Marty Necas. I think that much is certain here. Ever since Pettersson put up his first 100-point season a few years ago, we always knew the sky was the limit, but it wasn't going to be easy for a guy who had such physical limitations like Petey. He's not big and strong, he's big and lanky, and as a result, he gets shoved around a lot, which has caused him to maybe not be the most confident on his feet with the puck on his stick, despite the fact that he's got nifty tricks and dangles and a really strong commitment to defense. Marty Necas is a good player, but he is absolutely capitalizing on playing with MacKinnon and Makar. And even though in Carolina he was still producing like the best player in the world, which he technically was, he was the #1 point scorer in the NHL for a while last year, even though he did that without MacKinnon and Makar, the fact is that's such a small sample size that we can't buy into that fully in the same way like we have with Elias Pettersson, where even in a down year, Pettersson still puts up 89 points. Last year was a really down year. 45 points for Elias Pettersson, his production cut in half from the season beforehand. But with JT Miller tribulations and the team sucking and everybody getting hurt, obviously there are reasonable excuses that I think Canucks fans don't like to accept, but they have no choice but to. And heading into this season, it was like, all right, well, all things are now off. As long as everybody stays healthy and the Canucks are playing their best, everything should get back to normal, right? But hey, guess what? They're still finding ways to win games, even though everybody's getting hurt. Brock Boeser should be coming back as well, so, yeah. Let's hope those gonads are feeling a little better, Boeser. And that's no shade to him for getting hit in the area in which he got hit with the puck in yesterday. But it was a scare for Vancouver to lose out on Boeser for that entire hockey contest and still come out with the win. If Kiefer Sherwood can keep on scoring and Elias Pettersson is going to be there with him, riding the coattails of Chief Keef, then, I kind of like the sound of that, eh? You got Necas and MacKinnon and Makar, and Pettersson and Sherwood and Hughes. Oh yeah, that sounds so nice. All this to say is that the Elias Pettersson, Marty Necas failed trade saga is one of the bigger questions in NHL lore the past little while, and I do fully believe in my heart of hearts that if Elias Pettersson was sent over for Marty Necas, it's not like Marty Necas would come over to Vancouver and totally suck, but I doubt he would be a consistent 90-plus point player like he's displayed he could be over the past 12 months or so, especially with this inconsistent winger core that's going on in Vancouver too. And if he doesn't play center, which he hasn't been playing center the past little while, then what? He's going to be with Philip Hedl? He's going to be an $11 million caliber something guy playing with Atu Ratu? Like, absolutely not. Pettersson is a much better fit for what Vancouver needs right now, even if you did the what if they kept Miller and they got Necas, whatever argument. But that's just me. You can let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about the Marty Necas and Pettersson rejected trade idea? And how much do you think things would have changed if it actually went through? Thoughts in the comment section. Likes and dislikes are appreciated because they help out with the algorithm. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.